All right, let's move on to the number one early window game that I was really keeping my eyes on, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints. Week 2, 1-0 teams. Winner is in first place in the division 2 weeks in. I picked the Saints to win, and it was 3-3. It was a defensive war out there almost. Hold on, we got a comment here before I move on to the next. Grady Edwards, he says, got a lot of stuff going on today, so I can't watch live, but just wanted to say thanks for the great content, and I love you, man. Love you too, Grady. Happy my Patriots got it done, and glad Brady got a dub versus the Saints. Absolutely, man. It was a good day for Patriot Nation. It was a good win, on the road at Pittsburgh, but yeah, shout out Grady Edwards, one of the best. One of the best in the business, man. He's been huge in terms of support in this show, and is a great friend of mine. He says Saints have always been a dirty team, and I will never change my mind on that. That people are going to have a hard time, moving on from Bounty Gate, which of course got Sean Payton suspended a whole season. Everybody knows how that played out. I think they actually made a Netflix movie starring Kevin James that had to do with Sean Payton's absence from the NFL for a year. But yeah, I'll sort of dive into that right now. So the Bucs beat the Saints 20-10. It was a lot closer than the score might indicate. It was 3-3 about midway through the fourth quarter. I'll get into the fight in just a second. But as far as the game, it was pretty much what we've seen from the Bucs and Saints ever since Tom arrived in Tampa Bay. And that is, man, hard hitting. Okay. A lot of pressure on Tom. Bucs receivers are struggling to get open. Part of that is due to injury. Julio Jones was out. Chris Godwin was out. Rob Gronkowski gone. AB gone. So, that all sort of factored in. But ultimately what came down to is Jameis Winston turned back into the Tampa version of Jameis Winston throwing the ball to the other team. Never forget, Jameis Winston did throw 30 interceptions in a single season back in 2019, which prompted the Bucs to go after that Tom Brady guy and say it's worked out pretty well for him. But I'm concerned about Tampa. And I said coming into the season, I believe that they would win the division simply because I believe they had the best team in the division. They had the coach I trusted the most in that division. I mean, that division has some young coaches. Todd Bowles and Matt Rule, Arthur Smith, I think is his name, of the Falcons. You've got, and obviously for the Saints, you've got Dennis Allen, like first, second year head coaches all the way around. So Tampa was the best team. Obviously, they had the best quarterback, best roster. I felt like they could win the division. And because it's a weak NFC, I trusted Tom Brady enough and that defense enough to get them to the NFC Championship game where I felt like they would lose to the Rams. But despite this 2-0 start, Tom's not right. Tom's not right. We know about the stuff with Giselle. I refuse to comment on that because that's not my business. That's between Tom and Giselle, and wish the national media would take cue on that, but it's neither here nor there. I don't know if it's just that specifically or it's something else because, folks, I have been saying since June, not part of the reason I believe this is going to be Tom's last year, something's off. Something's off because you heard the interviews going back to last summer. He's talking about, this great career he's had, and Tom's never done that. Despite all the Super Bowls, he's never done that. He's talking about, he's taking Wednesdays off. He's not even practicing at all on Wednesdays, to spend time with the family. You've got all the injuries in Tampa, and Tom doesn't seem to really be giving this sort of confident vibe in the Buccaneers, which sort of, I think, dates back to the end of last year after the AB fiasco played out. Something's not right in Tampa Bay. Now, that defense is phenomenal. Devin White's flying all over the field. Levante David had a great game yesterday. Antoine Winfield and Carlton Davis in the secondary, and that pass rush. I mean, Tampa's defense, I'm not worried at all about those guys. Those guys are going to keep Tampa in every single game that they play. Offensively, I don't know. Now, maybe some of it is that they played two really good defenses. They played the Cowboys defense last week, and they played the Saints defense this week. And the Saints defense is the biggest reason that I had the Saints winning this game, because I feel like they get a lot of pressure on Tom, which they did for the most part, but not in the way that I thought that they would. Brady's arm doesn't look the same that it did. Simply put, the marriage stuff aside, some of this might be just the fact that Tom Brady's dealing with the fact that he's 45 years old. We know Father Time's undefeated. We know that goes around. But even going into that game next week against Green Bay, that game just got a lot tougher with the ejection and now the suspension of one here. Let's see. Do we have it? Yeah, okay. So the fight between the Bucs and the Saints. Here you go. So it starts with Tom Brady. Look, he's looking at the Saints defender. He's getting in the face of Marshawn Lattimore. They're jawing, and here comes Leonard Fournette, shoves Marshawn Lattimore, and then there's some more shoving, and then here comes Mike Evans and just blows up Marcus Lattimore. Here's the close-up of Evans, and bam, and we know those two have a history. Evans, Lattimore, they do not like each other. Lattimore has tended to get the better end of those battles for years now. You see Tom Brady, he's yelled at Marshawn. Marshawn's yelling at Tom. Fournette gets in between them. Then the Fournette gets shoved by Lattimore. So yeah, it's ugly all the way around. You see more and more pushing and shoving. Apparently, the NFL is looking into how much Bruce Arians had to do with this because you saw Bruce Arians on the sideline, which I thought was kind of odd, considering the fact that we know he's in the Bucs upper management now after Tom basically kind of pushed him aside in favor of Todd Bowles to be the head coach. But it looks like Bruce Arians was kind of yelling at the Bucs players on the sideline, almost as if to encourage them to join the brawl. I don't know. What we do know is Mike Evans is gone for this week against the Packers. He got suspended a game. I thought Marshawn Lattimore maybe could have been suspended, but he didn't blindside somebody, so I'll be fair to him in that regard. But I think is this a heated rivalry? Yes. Very heated. And when's the next time Tampa and New Orleans plays? Okay, they don't play until early December, and that's a Monday Night Football game. That's nationally televised in Tampa Bay. That'll be a very, very interesting one to watch. But the defense is great. Todd Bowles, we know the defensive mastermind that he is, and he's done a great job with those guys. Offensively, something's not right. Because in the last 2 years, they played plenty of great defenses, and it didn't matter. Leonard Fournette was running over you. Tom is distributing the ball just like old times in New England, right? Except he's got more talented receivers in Tampa. Now going into next week, that receiving core for Tampa is really thin. Evans is gone for sure. Godwin is probably gone. That hamstring's still bothering him. We'll see about Julio Jones. Okay, Russell Gage dealing with injuries. Brashad Perriman, he caught that go-ahead touchdown to put Tampa Bay up 10-3, and they, of course, never gave that lead up. Cameron Brate's okay. Leonard Fournette didn't have the game yesterday that he had in Dallas last week. Something, I can't put a finger on it. I don't think it's just Tom, although I think Tom's off. Something just does not seem right about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization. I don't know what it is, but it's a good thing that they play definitely in a weak division, and more importantly, in a weak conference. Because if they were in the AFC, I'd pick them to get to the playoffs because I'm going to respect the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not sure they win a playoff game in the AFC. I'm serious. I'm not 1,000% sure that Tampa Bay would get out of the wild card game. So thankfully for them, they do play in the NFC. But yes, there's something not. When you look at the other contenders around the league, there's a lot of optimism, right? There's even teams that have lost a game, the Rams, right? And they almost blew that big lead to Atlanta. Atlanta, the irony of the day, almost came back from 28-3. You ever heard that before, Falcons fans? The Falcons almost came back from 28-3 on the defending champion Rams. But even after the game, Jalen Ramsey's, he's enthusiastic. And, of course, Sean McVay is always enthusiastic. So is Stafford. Like, everybody's in pretty good spirits in L.A. with the Rams. Kansas City, same thing. Heck, in Dallas today, all it took was one win, and it's good times are back again in Jerry World. Everybody's happy in Dallas. Tampa, it is doom and gloom right now. I don't know if it's Tom's mood is almost like setting the morale of the team. I don't know. But that was not I wouldn't call it a discouraging win because I've seen discouraging wins. That wasn't one of them. But something's up. Something's up with the Bucs, and it's not just Tom and his situation off the field. So we'll see what happens with the Buccaneers moving forward. But, man, that fight was wild. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.